Have you ever felt like you're different from the rest of your classmates, your peers, the people in your town? Like you saw the world a little bit differently than everyone else? Maybe you're independent, you feel like following your own path rather than listening to the status quo. And ever since you can remember, you've had a self-consciousness about you. You're completely aware of yourself, how you think, who you are as a person, and you genuinely believe that you're someone who's capable of self-reflection as a human being. If any of this rings a bell, you may be one of the enlightened ones of society. So what is an enlightened one? There's many names for this throughout history, and there's many names today, but when I say that someone's an enlightened one, this is someone who is completely self-aware as to who they are. They're able to self-reflect. You think about almost everything that happens in your life. You think about yourself as a human being, your consciousness, what it means to be conscious. And you're someone who's able to think for yourself rather than just listen to others and just follow the instructions of others. You have a divine intuition within you, or a compass that points you in the right direction. And I've discovered something recently. I was watching Professor Zhang, one of my favorite mentors out there. You should check out his channel. But he talks about how most humans do not want to think for themselves. They don't. Most humans actually want to be told what to do despite what they say. Now, you would imagine that most people would want free will over their destiny, that everyone says that they want this dream life, or they want this, or they want that. But they don't do things that will actually lead to that path. And in fact, a lot of them actually self-sabotage in order to stay where they're at, in order to stay within the system, the matrix, so to speak. And it is completely true. Yeah, most humans don't want to think for themselves. Most humans don't want to be told or taught to think for themselves. It's something that just does not register in their brain. Reason does not register in their brain. And he spoke about Robespierre. So Robespierre is this guy who had pushed the French Revolution. He killed a lot of people. He was a revolutionary, and this guy was extremely dedicated to his cause, and he put every distraction by the wayside in order to make sure that the revolution would succeed. But the whole French Revolution and the Enlightenment, people call it the Revolution of Reason. And the Revolution of Reason is this idea that we've had. Like I said, it has been around forever, but sometimes it dies off and comes back. But the Revolution of Reason basically teaches us that we're able to think, and we're able to reason, and we're able to think for ourselves. And every single time in human history when someone tries to teach people how to think for themselves, not everybody actually starts thinking for themselves. You know, there will be a group of people that will take this like knowledge and use it. But most of society, by and large, is going to skim over this. Like, guys, people want simple lives. People want security. They want comfort. They want, food, and they want to find their ideal partner. And they don't want to think about deep, meaningful stuff. They don't want to think about their own consciousness. They don't want to think about how the world actually works, or how fucked up things really are, and how bad it is to be ignorant. And in a way, they are kind of actually the lucky ones, because when you're someone who's not super self-aware and enlightened, life seems normal, and you're able to live life without overthinking everything and worrying about everything. versus if you're like self-conscious, like if you're a very self-conscious person and you think like you know who you are and what you are, what ends up happening is you overthink a lot of things. You just end up overthinking. You just end up over studying, over analyzing every little interaction, everything that you could have done wrong, everything that you've done right. But this is also a superpower. Self-reflection is an ability. It's a magical power that we have within us. The ability to self-reflect and understand why we do certain things and understand why we don't do certain things is something that we can use to grow ourselves into a completely new person every few years, and to transcend reality and transcend society and transcend history. It's like Friedrich Nietzsche's Überman and Last Man. So Friedrich Nietzsche, one of the most famous German philosophers out there, he talks about the Übermensch, right? The Übermensch basically in German means Superman. And then he talks about the last man, which is the letzter Mensch, lesser men. And what is the Übermensch versus the lesser man, right? The last man, or the lesser man, is your man that seeks comfort. It is the men in society that are okay with the system. They are okay with the way that things are. They are okay with clocking into their job and getting overweight and being unhealthy. They're fine with the world being corrupt and dark, and to a certain extent, they're not even aware of how dark the world is, or how corrupt it is, or how much better that the world could be. They're simply preoccupied with very simple things in life, and they're okay with being comfortable. Like these, basically, the last man is a group of like, it's most of society. They avoid hardship and they take the path of least resistance if it's possible. Versus the Uberman or the Superman, right? The Overman. He is the man who bends reality to his will. He is the man that goes against the grain. The Uberman is the man who does not bow down and conform. He is able to think for himself. He is able to make his own decisions. He is able to rationalize and think and self-reflect and improve himself. And this is kind of like the modern day version of this would be like the Chad versus the incel, right? In internet culture, right? The Chad is the successful, good-looking guy who's on self-improvement, who is able to control his emotions and his reality and live the dream life, versus the incel who is, taking the black pill and can't get what he wants, and he's not attractive, and he's not able to get a girlfriend, and he's not able to make money. So this idea has been around for a long time. Yeah, there's like the superhumans and then there's the lesser humans, right? And if you're an enlightened individual and you're self-aware, you owe it to yourself to become a superior human being, to get on self-improvement, to enlighten others, to spread enlightened ideas. Because if you are self-aware and you don't improve and you don't do better for yourself, you're going to end up living in a very dark place in your mind, because you know that you could do better. You know that you could have a better life. You know that you have free will and that you have the ability to choose your destiny. But you're just not doing it, right? The longer you don't take action, the longer you deny yourself your destiny, that you know that you're destined for greater things, the more depressed and the more dark it's going to be. And I say this because I've been on both sides of the fence. Like I said, I've been self-aware since I was a child. I've been able to rationally think and know that I'm a conscious being and that I'm imperfect. And I've fallen into the depravity and the degeneracy of, being addicted to drugs, or playing video games all day, or watching porn, and having all these addictive things going on in my life, all these things clouding my judgment. destroying my ability to think, destroying my ability to reason. I've been addicted to junk food. I've been addicted to chasing women and getting in trouble and hanging out with people that are just negative, toxic, low vibration people. I've been there, and it sucks, and it's depressing, and you don't feel good about yourself because you know that you have this divine gift and you're just wasting it, basically. And I read this book before called The Hermetica. Y'all should really read this book. It's about the universe, and it's about divinity, and it's about self-awareness, and it's really interesting. But it talks about when basically the universe or God grants you self-awareness or enlightenment, it's a blessing. And if you misuse it, it's going to come back to haunt you. Like, you have to, like, you've seen what the world is, and you know what the world is, and you know how it works, and you know how people think, and you know that you're different, and you know that you're not one of the many, that you're this being, right? This being that's able to think outside of reality's constraints. And God gave you this ability for a reason, essentially. Like, you're there to make this world better. You're here to make things happen, because being the last man, being like a sheep, living a comfortable life, there's no way that you're gonna like change history. There's no way that you're gonna change the future or make things better for all of us. And there's no way that anything is going to change if you don't take action and you just sit there thinking about everything, versus you get out there, you try to enlighten others, you spread like ideas, you show people the world for what it is, you help spread positivity, you help bring people out of the gutter and help reignite the flame that's within them. And like I said, we all have a soul, we all have like a divine spark. We have this thing, like every single human being has this divine fire within them, right? We all have a soul. And it's up to you if you want to be part of good or evil. It's up to you if you want to be part of light or darkness. It's up to you if you want to be comfortable or you want to be uncomfortable. It's like yin and yang. Throughout my studies, like however many years, I've been studying this shit, I found that everything has like a yin and yang. Everything has opposite, right? Everything has like an opposing force, right? Being enlightened versus being ignorant, being evil versus being good, being a positive person versus being a negative person. And I know it's like not everything's black and white. There's some people that have positive qualities and they also have negative qualities as well. I think that's going to be all of us, because none of us are perfect. But you have to use your gift for good. You have to use your gift to help people. You have to use your gift to put us in a better world. You have to use this gift to help your family, help your friends, and help stop the spread of negative bullshit that's running around. Because the world we're living in right now, the current time we're in, it's extremely negative. It's very toxic. Like the energy, the vibe of the planet right now is very toxic, very aggressive. We have all these like potential wars and killing and shit going on right now. And there's a lot of chaos like stirring up. People are having a hard time getting by. People are having trouble paying the bills, paying rent, getting groceries. Humans are getting replaced by artificial intelligence, and life is generally just getting harder and harder for the average human being as every day passes by. Versus we remember the good times, and we remember how things used to be, and it wasn't that long ago that things were not that bad. But the world has fundamentally changed in the past like 10 to 15 years. And I do truly believe that when everything does fucking blow up and go to shit on us all, that we have to be like the next generation of people to lead humanity into the right direction. We have to guide humanity in the right way. Like, we need to, whatever we're doing right now in the world, the systems we have, the government systems, the political systems, whatever you want to call them, we have to think of like a new way of thinking. There has to be a better way to do this shit. Now, I don't have any specific ideas on how like things should work, or the mechanisms, or how we should govern ourselves, or how we should do economic bullshit. That's not something I'm really an expert at, but what I am, trying to say is that we need to like open our minds. We need to be ready for new ideas. We need to be ready to do new things. We need to open ourselves up and stop being ignorant. And we have to embrace like the hardship that's coming. We have to become strong for all the hardship that is coming. And humans will get stronger, and they are getting stronger. I do believe that all the hard shit that's been going on the past few years has made people a lot stronger, has made people a lot more resilient and less soft than they have. We've all heard that saying, the hard times make strong men make good times. I think that we may be like going into the hard times, so to speak, because, for the past, however so many 50 plus years, 60, 70 years, the world has been relatively peaceful. There hasn't been like a world war, nothing. There hasn't been like mass famines or nothing like that. People have been able to live pretty comfortable lives for a very long time, but that's not how things always were, guys. Like, in the past, humans were honestly more intelligent in the past than they are now. Like, we're the most educated society that has ever existed in all history. But at the same time, we're also one of the most ignorant societies that's ever existed, because we refuse to see reality as it is, and instead we see reality as we think it should be. Like, there is so many problems out there. There is so many issues. And most people are just fucking closing their eyes and acting like it's not happening. Especially our world governments, especially our leaders. Like, most of them are so full of shit, and they're such fucking gigantic liars. Like, the kind of leadership we have now in the world is just such a disappointment. And the fact that they'll not like actually address like the issues that are actually happening, and we're focusing on like a bunch of shit that doesn't even matter, all that tells me is that, yes, like we are a society in decline. And the reason why they won't address like the real issues that are happening is because they're trying to hold on to power for as long as possible before fucking shit hits the fan. And like I said, like another French Revolution or another Renaissance happens, or something that completely changes human history forever. And I think that we may be going into another one of those ages very, very soon. I have a theory that we're heading into something called the Second Renaissance. And this isn't like an official term, but the Second Renaissance is essentially like this idea that I've had where automation and artificial intelligence is going to transform the world as we know it. It's almost going to be like another industrial revolution where human life completely changes. Kind of like, the Industrial Revolution, most people worked in agriculture and only maybe 5 to 10% of people lived in cities. And now most people live in cities and barely anyone works in agriculture. Like, yes, the people that were working the fields, they would see these industrial machines as like a threat to their way of life. If you're able to use a tractor to till the fields, then you're out of a job. But that's not what happened. There was new jobs created. There was new revolutionary things that were created. There was new places in society that were created because we were able to get off working the farm and be able to focus on other skills. And I believe that artificial intelligence and like robots are the next thing that's going to change that. Like, you're going to see less cashiers, you're going to see less people working a lot of these white collar jobs. A lot of blue collar jobs are going to disappear. And people are not going, it's going to replace a lot of the shitty jobs that we have to work as humans. And obviously that's extremely scary. And let me tell you, it's not going to be like a smooth transition either. Like, if you guys read about like the Industrial Revolution and how bad life was, you will see a lot of similarities. Like, there was lots of people living like together in tenement buildings, and the wages were fucking horrible. People were barely scraping by. A lot of, like, I'm talking like a whole family living in like a very small like apartment. Like, you're seeing that now. You're seeing a lot of families living in like small apartments, and there's way too many people in one house or one apartment than what we're used to. But it's because people just can't afford rent. So people are having to live in more like crowded conditions, you know, because they can't pay for their own rent. Like, they have to split up the bills and shit just to get by. And, you know, the early Industrial Revolution, like, yeah, you saw a lot of people working shitty jobs for very little pay. And, dude, you know, that's how it is now. Like, you're seeing a lot of people, they're working horrible jobs. They're making very little money. The wage doesn't cut it. The cost of goods are very high. People have less freedom. People have less independence. People are having to live in crowded conditions. And yeah, it's going to be like that for a while, guys. Like, the inflation is not going to go down. Conditions are like, life is going to get harder. Life is going to get much harder. Like, I'm calling it right now. I have several family members that fucking, you know, the economy has affected them very poorly, and they're not making very much money in certain businesses that used to make quite a bit of money. But like I said, there is going to be people that prosper from this too. Like, there will be people that prosper from this revolution of robotics and artificial intelligence. Like, there will be people that are made rich overnight. There's going to be people whose lives become much easier. There's going to be people who gain lots of power, or certain groups in society. There's going to be certain types of people that end up living like a much higher standard of living because of everything that's going to happen. So that's why I say, use your gift now. Get ready. Like, educate yourself, become strong, break away from all the bullshit that's clouding your mind, the addictive substances, the porn, the video games. Like, us enlightened individuals, if you're like an enlightened person and you're self-aware and you know that you have to be strong and you know you have a gift to change people's perspectives and their worldview, you have to be strong. We have to be a good example for the rest of humanity, and we have to lead the next group of innovators to the next like level of society. Like, we have to be the shepherds that guide people towards the right path. So leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about where things are going in society. What have you noticed? Have you noticed similarities between what's going on now and what's going on in the past? Do you have any experiences, anything like that? So let me know. Like the video, ring the bell. Check out the rest of my videos on my channel. Peace.